Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Otman Oustadi show. In the times of old, men chose which land to conquer next based on what they stumbled upon. They would walk barefoot into the unknown, with no map, no certainty, with only the drive to prove their manhood. But in the last decade, many men have chosen the easy way out. Instant pleasures over hard work, distraction over discipline. Double cheeseburgers in front of video games have replaced the pursuit of strength, wisdom, and true character. Today we turn to a man who has dedicated his life to mastering communication with women. Not only to conquer, but to connect, to retain, and to build a real confidence. He helps men to step into a version of themselves that women and the world can't ignore. 𝐦𝐨𝐫𝐞. Welcome to the show, brother.
My favorite ever introduction. My favorite ever. You topped it off.
Sure. Before we get started, I've got honeybees at home. I'm a beekeeper.
You're a beekeeper?
Yes, sir.
Natural honey. How we love it. And in a proper, that's like a proper mum's jar. Like my mum used to collect these jars back in the day, bro. I know you got that from your mum as well.
Yes, you did.
Thank you very much. And I've also got my Moroccan tea from Mumsy. Shout out Mumsy at home. Thank you very much.
Did you grow up in London?
I did grow up in London, yeah. Just outside. So just on the outside, nearer towards like Watford sides. But spent a lot of time in London, in and around kind of a very similar city environment. And then through like the later teenage years of my life, in and around London, and then started also notoriously being recognized and known on social media within the London arena. So I'd say I'm a London boy.
You speak several languages, and I actually thought you were from Argentina, but you're actually British?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people come up to me in the street and say, oh, you're from here. And it's generally just because in some videos we used to play around and tell girls we were from A, B, and C, when we used to kind of create more of a jokey type of pickup content. However, now I feel definitely a dedicated responsibility to be truly authentic and show guys that this isn't a joke, you know, there is real ways to master your dating life, to become an attractive man, to attract women, to approach women, and learn the language of womanese, as we say. And therefore, you know, taking a bit more responsibility on doing so authentically as a British man.
Fantastic. What was the exact moment you realized you had to fix your confidence with women?
I tell you what, it took a while for me to understand that I was actually not confident. A lot of people confuse extrovert and confident, like the two words. You can be an extrovert and you can be incredibly unconfident, and you can be an introvert and you can be incredibly confident. And I think they're two kind of buzzwords that people hold on to. Like, you'll have introverted guys that will say, oh, I'm an introvert, I can't talk to women. And you'll have extroverted guys that will be like, I'm super confident. And none of those are always true in every instance. So what we have to do is disconnect the words. And for me, I was definitely extroverted. But did I understand truly my sense of confidence, who I was, where I belonged, my purpose, my understanding? No. And therefore, even though I was able to communicate with people and be generally quite outgoing, I wouldn't call myself, or have called myself, a confident person. And then throughout them kind of school days, I definitely felt myself feeling the need to be validated by peers, by people in general. And when I understood my necessity for validation, I partnered that up with a lack of confidence. And then went kind of full into approaching and understanding the mechanisms of confidence and how it really works.
Were you always good with women, or did you struggle growing up?
My ability to speak to people was always good, but there's a big difference between talking to a woman, attaining a woman, and attracting a woman. So it's very, very different aspects. And I always say social skills are a big part of getting a woman into like an initial conversation with you. But being able to really strongly connect on a woman and have that woman desire you is a different skill set in total.
And what's the difference in between the three?
What you really want to achieve. I guess it depends on your goals, your state of life. I find a big mistake that a lot of guys make is a lack of alignment into their dating life. Like, they're dating without understanding and purpose. So for example, a lot of guys are over-investing a lot of boring time and energy into a woman, but they're focusing on like a shorter term casual dating lifestyle. and then things don't align. So essentially you have to understand, first and foremost, at what stage in your dating life are you at? And then second of all, what alignment are you proposing with what you want to achieve? And then you'll have guys that are finding themselves in very sporadic and unaligned situations and environments, and they're telling their friends, I'm looking to settle down, I'm looking for something serious. So you need to align your dating intentions with your environments and what you actually want to achieve.
Okay. What made you step into giving dating advice? Why?
I didn't understand the demand for it. I really was ignorant to how much guys struggled in this day and age to simply approach women, to simply communicate, talk to. I mean, when I found out the statistic of guys that are able to cold approach, for example, 80% of guys have never done a cold approach in their life. 80%. And that means people are relying more and more on dating apps and social media, or just being lonely for the rest of their life. And what you find is, you know, guys are becoming more happy with this and more settled with the idea of this, because the alternative is going outside of your comfort zone and approaching and being in situations where you could be rejected, etc., etc. And as I said, you know, guys are preferring the idea of just sitting at home, watching video games, jerking off, whatever they, you know, whatever they shouldn't be doing.
You teach them how to handle rejection correctly, or what is it that you teach them exactly to do?
Yeah, there's a whole process, right? Dating is like a whole A to Z. Again, there's first and foremost like self-transcendence. To be an efficient dater, you really need to understand yourself, especially as a man, as someone who I would see as an important figure in leading a relationship. You need to be able to lead yourself. You need to be able to make good decisions by yourself and make good life decisions. And from that, you need to also be able to portray through your actions why you make a good leader in a scenario of a relationship or a family, etc., etc. So what we have now is a lot of guys that essentially don't want to understand themselves. They don't want to put in action to understand themselves. Then they see guys online that are dating and that are getting loads of girls, and they think that they're entitled to kind of that level of attention and attraction from women. But attention and attraction from women is very much built within.
Okay, interesting. And what's your day-to-day life? All you do is chase women as you portray on your social media, or you happen to be a bit more dedicated and...
Yeah, no, I have a tent. I camp out on the street. I just wake up, approach women all day, and then back to the tent. No, so I'm, you know, that similar transcendence that I like to teach is very much a similar level of self-transcendence that I like to live by. You know, my life's very discipline orientated, you know, in terms of taking care of not only myself, but also my environment. A lot of work, a lot of background work, you know, as a lot of people don't know, social media is also a business. So we're operating a business, and, you know, in the background, there's a lot of work going into that. Kind of the only energy and time we're putting into females is behind making content or having, you know, social proof to actually show guys how things are able to be done.
Okay. And how do you balance confidence versus arrogance when advising men?
Awesome. A lot of people think it's like the way you say things. For me, more so, it's the way you do things. The way you justify what you are saying. If what you say is justifiable logically, there's much harder realms to dispute it. For example, if you're demanding certain things off of a female partner and you're providing no level of security, comfortability, strength to a relationship, then you're unentitled to demand certain things. But if you're portraying everything you should be doing as a masculine figure in a masculine frame within a relationship, then you can go ahead and start to demand certain aspects to that relationship. So the difference between confidence and arrogance is really the background work that you're doing. I would say ego in total is a very healthy thing for men to have. It's very good for a man's level of sustained confidence, for him to feel in a position of strength to you know, deal with a relationship or whatever it is. But that becomes unhealthy when a man doesn't actually understand what he is portraying and is not backing it up via actions.
Interesting. Being surrounded by so many women, is that just hedonism, or the natural outcome of a man living on his purpose?
In terms of abundance, I definitely say there's a level of discipline and self-control and emotional control you have to maintain when you are surrounded by a lot of women, because it's very easy to become persuaded, deranged from like your actual goals and what's important, which is as a man building your empire, building a strong empire. The art of abundance is essentially the more you have of something, the more you understand about something and the more you realize the value of something. So within a man's dating journey, you know, I'm a massive advocate for men creating abundance within their dating journey, whether that's going on a lot of dates and becoming a good dater, or speaking to a lot of women to understand what you really like and what you don't like and what you understand, so that when you are in a time where you feel like it's necessary to sustain a relationship or be in a relationship, you're actually able to understand what you respect, what you like, what you need, and what you find attractive about a certain female. Because what you find a lot of people are doing is jumping in relationships because of their love or lust for someone, and then 2 years down the line, finding out something that they don't like about a certain girl and not realizing that they actually didn't like that all along. They just haven't had the experience to understand that they don't like that. So it's very beneficial for a man to create abundance, because without abundance, you can't make stoic decisions. You make decisions of scarcity. And when you make decisions of scarcity, for example, if you have no money, what are you now willing to do to get money? Anything. So your values go, your integrity goes, your standards go. When you have an abundance of something, you really see strongly what you want, why you want it, and therefore what becomes truly attractive to you.
Interesting. And how a man can create abundance? How can he do that?
It's a long process. Abundance is a long process, and it's scary for some guys, and that's why we have guys that are just sitting at home doing nothing. Because the alternative is, if you go one day and look in the mirror and you say to yourself, you know, I'm really gonna do this shit. That's not just words, that's a long journey of fucking pain and struggle for a man. To create true abundance in today's society, it's a lot of commitment. So what you find now is there's some guys that are like giving it half a punch and then seeing how much work it takes and giving up. But more than ever, you have a lot of guys that aren't even trying. Like, guys see how high the bar is set and they go like, I can't even see myself in that figure. So they just kind of remorse dating at all. You know, they can go on a dating app every now and then and swipe right 100 times, and maybe they get one match and they go on a date with them, but they don't have the social skills to actually communicate with the girl. And maybe the girl's standards are equally as low. But what we find is usually, because girls are naturally born valuable creatures, you know, they hold value at birth. Men don't. Men have to work for their value. They have to create value and abundance. And therefore, we have an imbalance in dating where men are just sitting at home doing nothing about it, and then men that they're not able to have sex 5 times in their life. The consequence is that they will never be fathers, and they won't have a family, and they won't find a loving wife. The consequence isn't about casual dating. Like, a lot of people think, oh fuck, I can't talk to girls, I can't approach girls, I can't, you know, I can't get past the first date stage. That's the short-term consequence. The long-term consequence is that the biggest purpose in life, being a father, being a mother, raising a family, you're never going to be able to do.
And when it comes to abundance, do you mean a man should create abundance straight in the women world, or work on himself, create abundance when it comes down to finances and building himself as a man, and then as a natural progression he would attract women? Which one is it that you're talking about?
They complement each other. You know, my expertise are in dating and lifestyle generally, creating an abundant lifestyle. The idea is that the bigger you can create a funnel, if you can create a very wide funnel where you have a lot of traffic coming in, there's more pressure within the funnel to then push something out the other end. In this situation, we're talking about actually getting results out of it. What them results look like to you are very different. Some men are focused on casual dating. They want like casual partners and they want to be concentrating on work and gym, etc. Some men want a relationship. Well, you don't just go on the street, point your finger, pick a girl and get a relationship with her. You need to have a lot of dates, and you need to have a lot of second dates, and you need to have experience actually dating. Because what's going to happen is one day you're going to meet the girl of your dreams, and then you're going to be insecure within the relationship. You're going to put her off. She's going to run away because she's getting offered, you know, to be flown out to Dubai on a private jet. So she's not going to hang around for you. You need to be in a position where you're ready for what's coming, and the way you do that is you start building up experience and abundance. You don't need to do so in an unhealthy mindset. It's not about objectifying women. It's not about thinking, oh, I just want to go out and have loads of sex with random women. That's not the mindset we're creating. The mindset we're creating is an abundance of attraction. And of course, there are big aspects to that within your finances, within, you know, how you're portraying yourself as a man, how you're presenting as a man, how aligned you are within your life, like the way you dress, the way you present yourself, your social skills, your finances, your economical status, etc., etc.
Now let's talk about what guys are dying to know. What's the number one lie they believe about dating that ruins their chances?
I'm stuck between two. First and foremost, that girls want a nice guy. Huge lie. If you are focusing your dating life on being a nice guy, you're getting nowhere. You're making no progress. Second of all, that ugly guys cannot attain beautiful women. Complete lie. I've seen proven in numerous countries. Is it more difficult for an ugly guy to attain a beautiful girl than a very handsome guy? Of course. No one's denying that. If you're an ugly guy sitting at home watching this podcast and you think that you cannot attain a beautiful woman, you have limited your belief system, you are killing yourself, and you're completely wrong. I've seen numerously, huge amounts of countries, ugly guys attaining beautiful women. And not just because they're rich. That's one aspect, but not just because they're rich.
It feels like you're just trying to sell some sort of courses or something, because it doesn't sound realistic to me. Like, if a guy is ugly, how can you improve their results by just teaching them ABC?
What makes a guy ugly?
I guess subjective.
I'm asking you, what makes a guy ugly? You have an opinion. What makes a guy ugly?
I don't know. It's not like
Give me some
something
things.
I don't know, teeth out of place, which you can fix.
Okay, amazing. So let's say personal hygiene.
Correct.
You can fix that?
Yes.
Amazing. Something else.
Teeth.
Teeth is personal hygiene. You can fix that.
Bald spots on their head.
Grooming. You can fix that.
Going to Turkey, I guess.
I mean, if you need to go to Turkey, but even as simple as knowing how to present yourself and aligning it. Again, it's not about, some people might grow a beard and it makes them look old and tacky. Some people might grow a beard like you and it looks sharp and it looks mature. But some people would have the same beard as you and it wouldn't suit them, it would look bad. So personal hygiene, grooming, smell, aura, confidence. Have you told me in your life you have not been with a girl that's not like a 10 out of 10, she's like a 6 or a 7, but you just really like her, she's just great? I certainly have, many times, and I have very high standards for women. Why? Depending on their energy, depending on their personality, depending on what they like physically bring to the table, depending on their level of confidence and self-assurance within themselves and feminine energy. So why is it different for the guys? Again, I'm not telling a 5 out of 10 guy that you're going to be able to get a Russian supermodel, but it's not about that for guys. 5 out of 10 guys, even 7 out of 10 guys are sitting at home doing nothing with their lives. But if you can get up a couple of levels and you can convince a girl via energy and confidence that you are a viable option to date her, and also you change the script in your head from chasing to understanding the art of attraction, then you're in a completely different scenario. So if you personally think after everything I've just said that an ugly guy cannot improve his life, his appearance, his level of attraction to attain better women than he is currently doing, or any woman because he's currently attaining none, then you've seen a different world to me. I'm talking firsthand. I'm not talking about a hypothetical theory. I'm telling you what I've seen in Latin America, in Bali, in London, in the Middle East, in Africa. Everywhere I've been, I've seen this. It's not just for one place. In America, this is happening all over the world. Ugly guys are with beautiful women. And sometimes it's money. Sometimes. A lot of the time it's money.
It did trigger something. It makes sense. Any guy can actually level up a couple of levels if they take care of themselves, if they work out. If it does make sense, it does. What about women? Do they actually want? What about women? Do they actually know what they want, or is it all subconscious?
A lot of it's subconscious. They do know what they want. They just haven't actually had a conversation with themselves to understand it. And it's quite easy. It's quite an easy digestion. So the idea of women knowing what they want is very funny to me. The easy answer would be for me to tell you no, women do not know what they want, and all the women will be sitting there like, wow, I can't believe you said that. How can you tell a woman that she doesn't know what they want? How do you know? And I always say to guys, you don't ask a fish how to fish, you ask the fisherman. So where I've been fishing for so long and I know how to get success, and I know what brings success, and I understand the fish that I catch because I analyze them. This sounds like it's gone into a bit of a left analogy. You understand that much more and much better. And the reason I say that is because women will sit online or at home or watching this podcast, shouting at the screen and saying, no, we know what we want this and this and this. Well, I've been selected and I've been approved, let's call it, many, many times, and it wasn't through the methods that they're trying to say. I have real in-life, in-field experience, and what women say they want is not what they want. So yes, it's subconscious, and women will be able to tell you, I like a confident guy. They just might not know why they want a confident guy. For example, women aren't prepared to admit that their whole life is psychological chaos and they don't understand what the fuck is going on in their life, and they just want a man to sit down, calm them down, bring them at peace, and tell them everything's gonna be okay. That's why they want a confident guy, but they don't know that. They think they want a confident guy because he looks cool, or it's nice, or I just like a confident guy. They haven't done the psychological homework, because the psychological homework you have to do on oneself comes with a lot of damage. And as men, quite often, we find that the damage we do to ourselves to find out the psychological truths about ourselves then propel us further. But women become more insecure, more unconfident, more self-conscious about them things that they find out when they do the intellectual homework.
We're making it sound that it's all about self-work, working on ourselves to become a better version of ourselves. But then how do you actually convince her to like you? How do you step through the door?
So there's two ways you can do this. There's the quick way and there's the long way. The quick way is learning how to chase efficiently, learning how to approach, learning social skills, being able to communicate very efficiently, and understanding how to portray a confident man. You can do that all within the space of about a month. If you really apply yourself, within a month, you can change yourself to a man who looks very confident. You can change your dress sense, you can change your grooming style, you can understand the art of conversation, and you can portray that. The hard way is actually learning how to attract women. And that is very, very different. That is about the art of stoicism, the strong masculine frame, like always holding a strong and a consistent masculine frame. Understanding what a woman wants and needs as opposed to what they say they want. That's the difference. If you're chasing, you could probably sell a woman on what she thinks she wants. But if you're attracting, you need to show a woman via actions, physically and verbally, what she needs. And that's going to basically give her an environment to sit down in her feminine energy. And when a woman truly feels like she can sit in her feminine energy, it's the most attractive state of mind for her to be in. And she's looking at you like, wow, you've done something to me that I didn't think was possible. How do you do that? You provide a strong masculine frame. Again, psychologically, it's all about providing an environment for your partner to do the right thing and to do the most efficient thing within the dating scene, but also within their own personal life.
Okay. If you had to choose, what would win, looks, money, or game? Which one is the most important? If you had to choose only one.
For what result? What do you want? What do I want to achieve?
To essentially get a woman, a girl.
To get a woman like in your bed?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay, so if you wanted to casually sleep with a woman, then money is the easiest.
The money is the easiest.
You can buy one.
No. I'm not talking about.
Yeah, I'd say what was the middle one?
Money, looks, or game.
All of them uniquely can do it. I'd say money's probably the most efficient, because you can literally, for a scenario, be in a club, be throwing loads of money around, and a girl's immediately going to be attracted to you in that manner. Looks, like, she'll still need to understand a little bit of substance behind you, and game takes time for her to achieve. But you can do all three. If you don't have either of the other one, you can use all three individually to attain a woman, 100%.
What about for long term?
For long term, it's going to be game. It's going to be game and your ability to, again, not one of the three will sustain a woman for a long period of time on their own. But if there is one, it would be game. It would just take you a lot of time to consistently almost entertain and manipulate her. Because if we're talking about game and you're not actually a good guy, or you don't have a strong masculine frame, then you're essentially talking about prolonged levels of communicative manipulation.
It takes a lot of effort.
Yeah, it takes a lot of effort. If you really want to attain a girl for that long, you're gonna have to manipulate her a lot, and it's probably easier to just get in the gym, work on yourself, and then come back to her as a better person, or find another woman as a better man.
Interesting. As a dating coach, what is the biggest and shocking results you obtained from one of your students?
Again, first of all, we've taken virgins, genuine virgins, people who have never ever touched a vagina before, to sleeping with women. And again, I'm not saying this is the result, but we've taken guys from A to B, and that is a big result for them. And second of all, we've taken essentially older guys, I'm talking 30, 31, 32-year-old guys that have just been completely ignorant to their dating life for the last 5 years, ignored it. And we've got them back on the understanding and journey of, it's getting late for me. I actually want to settle down with a girl, with a woman. So we've created them kind of a social environment where they can go and find women. And we've had guys find girlfriends We've had guys find casual relationships. I remember a guy specifically who has been working with me for about 3 years now, maybe even coming up to 4 years. And he specifically was trying to master the art of approach. And within the last year, he told me, Diego, I have a lot of work. I really want to have a few casual relationships with different girls, but at an efficient rate. So we consistently worked with him to make his dating life as efficient as possible, as energy efficient and time efficient as possible, and allowing an environment where he can successfully casually date, which only like probably 1% of guys in the world can do or have the option to do, which is basically attain a woman with no commitment consistently over a period of time, is the hardest form of dating. Like you have to provide the most form of value to attain that level of dating.
Okay, I definitely admire the aspect of your coaching where you teach men how to improve themselves to become better men. But from the aspect of dating women, don't you think that ruins women in a way? Because sleeping with multiple partners, you're kind of ruining a girl. You're giving her loads of trauma, and you're lowering the chances of her finding a long-term partner. Essentially.
So you're saying by me like encouraging the guys to go out and create abundance in their dating life, like I'm ruining the woman?
Yeah, correct.
I mean, first and foremost, that's happening anyway. Just no one has an understanding of it. So these women are getting slept with and passed around by high-level guys. Like the highest value guys in the world are ruining these women anyway. I'd actually rather create a pool where the guys that are nervous and shy can start to connect with these women as well and have more chance of creating some form of balance in society. So regardless of the woman that you're talking about, they're being ruined by the top 1% of guys because they're being flown out left, right, and center to literally be like non-exclusive prostitutes, like basically non-contractual prostitutes.
But would you admit that you helping degenerate women in a way or not?
No,
because
no.
Also, don't get me wrong, I also heard you referring to women as fishes a couple of times. Isn't that not degenerate and objectifying women in a way?
No, I gave an analogy about a situation. I also referred to myself as a fisherman, but I'm not a fisherman.
Okay, fair enough. That's a good one. Well done, bro. If every 18-year-old was listening right now, what advice would you give them?
Open your mind. Don't ruin your future by closing your mind. It's the first thing you need to do. Open your ears, open your mind to the understanding that there might be another option. And I think that's where guys go wrong. They just close their mind. They think they see the world as it is. I learn, and I'm continuously learning so much about this world through experience. So if you put yourself into a lot of positions of experience, even if you feel uncomfortable, even if you feel underqualified, it's a very positive thing. However, guys that are sitting at home, doing nothing, closing their mind off, scrolling social media, watching porn, instead of giving life a go, you're just ruining your own chances. You never know, whatever position you are in right now, you never know what you could create of yourself. And I'm not saying everyone's gonna make it. I'm not someone to look at 18-year-old in their eyes and go, you're gonna be a great entrepreneur and you're gonna do it. Not everyone's cut out to attract lots of women. Not everyone's cut out to be socially great. Not everyone's cut out to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone's cut out to sit down and do podcasts and publicly speak. But you might be. And you won't know unless you put yourself in them situations and give it a good go. And worst comes to worst, if you give yourself a good go in these situations, usually you're going to learn quite a lot.
Fantastic. Your dating space, is it called The Playbook? Something like that?
The truth. The playbook is a part of the truth. So we have something called the playbook inside of the community. So I have a community where we have a course and a community of guys improving their dating life. And then we have a private personal mentorship where guys, are coached like one-to-one to me. But within the community, you also get access to me. And there's a playbook inside of that. It's just about understanding the ins and outs of dating, a lot of the lies that we're told, really how to, attract women and understand women and talk to women, womanese. And then, essentially understand and master short-term, casual, and long-term dating at its highest optimization.
And within your course, you also push guys to work out?
Yeah, massively.
Start their own businesses? How do you help them to make money, essentially?
First and foremost, I try to stay in my lane of experience. Not necessarily my lane of what I know, knowledge, it's more so experience. Because I think for me, experience is something that you've proven to yourself time and time again. So, I'm not a financial coach. we definitely give advice and privately mentor them in their personal life. I'm a man that's created abundance in every aspect of my life, essentially. But yeah, there's a big focus on self-transcendence, accountability, being strongly accountable, because if you're putting in the work to approach lots of women and to communicate with lots of women and to try and attract lots of women, and you're not putting in the background work, it's going to create an imbalance, and it's going to flood through. So there's a big push on taking care of yourself, doing what you need to do as a man. And also that comes into the art of attracting women, because you then become worthy in your own eyes, which is a massive boost to confidence. Like, one of the biggest aspects of confidence is self-trust, trusting yourself within any environment. If there was a random guy in the street now and I just told him, come sit down next to me and speak on this podcast, how many guys would be like, oh no, I've never done it before? And how many guys would be like, well, I've never done it before, but I can speak, I can trust myself, I'll put myself in an uncomfortable environment? Not very many. So it's about trusting yourself to, when you have an opportunity to do anything, you're able to do it. Whether that's approach a girl, go on a date with a girl, long-term date a girl, casually be with a girl, or taking care of your kingdom, your empire.
Interesting. What about semen retention? What do you think about that?
Semen retention is a great practice that I've personally practiced for a long time. Semen retention is, for me, one of the highest forms. I would say the highest form personally, because there might be something that I haven't experienced. My friend did a blind fucking, what do you call it? Like, where he sits down with a blindfold on, like no light, nothing, for like 2 days or some shit. Maybe that would take more self-control, but semen retaining is one of the highest forms of self-control and self-mastery for a guy. So I'm a huge fan of it. I believe that every guy should try it. Maybe not if you're not like actively dating. It's more for guys that are very actively dating to remain healthy through it. I think a lot of guys struggle with sleeping with girls just for the idea of, busting a nut, or however we want to call it, and maybe create a bad sexual relationship within themselves. Again, I'm fully in the idea of creating an abundance and getting a lot of experience. But if you then become a guy that is just sleeping with girls to finish, it becomes a bit inefficient, a waste of time. You start sleeping with like lower quality females. Again, I've been kind of through this whole cycle of the journey, which is why my personal decision to semen retain was very justified. And it just creates a very self-aware environment for you to have personal relationships and sexual relationships.
Interesting. Doesn't that contradict itself? Because you're approaching an average of 10 to 15 to 20 women a day, and you don't sleep with neither of them? Or
first of all, semen retention isn't about who you're sleeping with. It's about like not finishing. So you can sleep with a girl and not finish. And
what's the point of that?
So exactly what you've just said. A lot of guys think, what's the point of that? Okay, so is the point of sex, apart from procreation, which obviously is a big valid point of sex, but if you're not in looking at it from a religious form, is the point of sex just to bust nut? Well, for a lot of guys, yes, it is. And I'd say that that's inefficient. It's not contradicting itself, because first of all, to be selective, you have to create abundance. And when you can become selective, that's like the top form of abundance, which is when you're going to make the most efficient decisions. Because what we do is create abundance, understand what we like, understand our mistakes, and then we become in a very, very high position, which not even 1% of guys are at, probably 0.1% of guys are at, where they look at attractive females and they go, that's a waste of energy, that's a waste of time, she's probably got AIDS, and then makes the decision not to want to sleep with so many girls for unnecessary reasons. It's more about justifying your actions. If you can semen retain and still justify the sex, which I have done many times, I've justified having sex within semen retention because of personal connection, energy exchange. Like, I still very much enjoy sexual interactions with semen retention, but my whole point is that if I don't enjoy it without semen retention, what is the actual point of it? When I can go to a Thai massage and pay her 40 quid and job's done.
When thinking about your legacy, do you want to be remembered as a dating coach or something bigger than that?
There's definitely something bigger. There always is something bigger, and my mindset is definitely to create something bigger. I want to make sure I'm creating it in a selfless fashion. For me, legacy is slightly, I don't know, I feel like it's a slightly selfish mindset. Like, I don't need to be remembered when I'm gone. I'm here, I'll create my impact, I'll fulfill my purpose. We need to forget, and I don't want to go too far into like conspiracy theories. We don't even know what's right and wrong. Like, right and wrong for everyone is perspective. Who decided the vocabulary of the dictionary? Who decided what was right, what was wrong? You know, the only real basis of life we have to go on is religious books. And, you know, if you're not a religious person, you essentially have no understanding of what is right and wrong. I mean, I would advise, if you are not a religious person, you can also use religious books as a good basis of what I would decide was right or wrong. But what's the rule book? What is the rule book to life? What's right, what's wrong? Why is a swear word a swear word? Who turned around one day and said, fuck, and went, oh, that's a bad word. Why? So, you know, the whole legacy thing for me is far out of context. I don't know what the world's going to look like when I'm dead. God willing, you know, I live a good life, and it's, you know, to watch my children grow up in how many years? I don't know, 30, 40 years before I dip out. And then after that, there will be a new generation of people creating ideologies. Maybe good, maybe bad. But I'd like to think that I'm good for society. I like to think that I'm doing a good thing for society. Whether that's important or not, I don't know. Whether that's selfish or selfless, I don't even know anymore. But I'm doing what I think is right, and I'm doing it alongside the values that, you know, my parents instilled in me growing up, and you know, what my mum would look at and say, that's a good thing. So yeah.
Is there anything else would you like to add and talk about?
Oh, we've covered a lot of really important stuff. Again, just the idea of really understanding the truth about dating is important to me. You know, a lot of women don't like my message, and the truth is that it's the truth. And actually, a lot of women don't understand that the reason I say everything I say, it's helping them in the long term, because the rates of, you know, sexual harassment, guys that are doing things through insecurity, guys harass, guys assault, guys become emotionally eruptive through insecurity, through a lack of self-development. So a lot of girls don't understand, if any females are watching this, which there won't be loads, that everything I do is actually, it benefits them more than the guys. The guys are just like going to be lonely, but you are the guys, you are the ladies that are going to be used, abused, treated badly, kept and held in immature and horrible relationships. So, you know, I'm really trying to create a generation of men that are strong, confident, and can lead relationships in a healthy fashion.
Interesting. You touched a point that's very interesting. So you teach men how to control their emotions.
Of course, stoicism is a huge part of leading a relationship and leading your personal empire as a man. Huge.
That's how you get school shootings, when a man can't control his emotions.
It's how you get everything wrong. Every single mistake anyone ever made in life, unless they are an unintelligent person, is through lack of emotional control. There is no reason to argue. It's a huge narrative I want to change in relationships. A lot of people in relationships normalize arguing. I spoke to a friend of mine, you know, a couple of days ago, and I said, bro, what did you end up doing yesterday after we were out filming? He goes, I went home, I had my daily argument with my girlfriend, and he almost made a joke about it. Like, we argued about this and this. I've been with you know, women for a long period of time without arguing. There's nothing to argue about. Why do you need to argue? Why do you need to shout at each other? Why do you need so much, you know, chaos? When in the reality, having a lack of emotional control is quite often the source of you know, bad decisions being made. You know, not being able to say no to a party because you get FOMO. That's, you know, that's lack of emotional control. Or not being able to walk away from a guy who's talking shit in your face, because what? You can punch him in the face and great, you get your pride, but you break your knuckle and you might get done for assault. So like, at the end of the day, again, another story on my millions of stories, I was walking through Canary Wharf the other day, and there were two guys arguing. I don't know why I was in such an efficient mood. He was a big guy, and there was a smaller guy, and they were shouting at each other. And I just felt the heat rising as I was walking towards them. I grabbed the big guy on his arm as I was walking through, and I said, bro, come here. And he walked with me for 2 yards. I said, what do you want? He said it a bit aggressively, as if I was trying to fight him. I said, bro, yalla, we got money to make. Just walk. And his wife was with him, and they walked with me.
That's all it took.
And all he said to me, he said, do you know what? You're right. And I could see they were both like in a rush to go to work or something, and they were arguing. I was like, bro, money to make. I don't know why I was so frustrated with the world. I almost said it in a way that I don't care if he turned around and like punched me. I was just like, yalla, bro. I just grabbed a random dude's arm. I went, yalla, let's go. Money. You know? And that's really the opinion that I have. Like, you can argue with your girl, you can fight with a guy in the street, you can go into nightclubs and you can argue with your parents about this, about doing the dishes, or you can just do it and make money. Like make money or be happy, but do something efficient. And a lot of people create unnecessary drama to like fulfill time and purpose because they don't have a true understanding of time and purpose. So they do unnecessary things to just fill in the gaps of life. When really, if you dedicate that time to understanding yourself, understanding logic's a huge part of it, and applying that to yourself, then I don't know, the psychological freedom you have of just confidence and peace, understanding that arguments are unnecessary, violence is boring. When you talk about politics, you don't understand like 90% of the stuff that's going on really, because it's way above our heads, way above presidents. You really think like the people running the world are going to show their faces to a camera? They're in the sky, bro. They're living in Mars probably with Elon Musk. You know, we don't know these guys. But people like to argue because it brings substance and bitching as well. You read the book The Four Agreements? Talks a lot about bitching, like the necessity to bitch about people. It's the easiest form of communication, which is why you hear so many people talking about things. It's so easy for me to come in here and instead of going to, how are you, bro? How was your day? Let's have a conversation about property or about fucking aliens. It's much more easier for me to come in here and go, bro, remember that girl that we saw at the club last week? She was with my man and now we're bouncing. None of our business. It's black magic, bro. It's black magic. So just change your ideology, and you know, this is a big speech and people are probably going to say, oh, he's waffling on about this and that. But if you can reframe your mind to a more logical standpoint, you'll get a lot of clarity from it.
Fantastic. I can see that you're very disciplined with your life. I doubt you also partied. You don't party?
No. We don't club. I'll attend a beach club every now and then in the daytime. No alcohol. Alcohol free for probably over 3 years now. Don't mind a little two-step in the sun.
Fantastic. So you don't drink, you smoke?
No smoke.
So nothing that jeopardizes your body for success?
Organic foods only, mostly high protein foods and great Moroccan tea.
Fantastic. Diego, this has been so powerful. For anyone that's listening to level up their confidence in the dating space, where can they find you?
Yeah, I mean, all my socials and any links in bios for the socials. Obviously, Diego Day is the name, so Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, but every platform we're on, the links are in the bios. And yeah, you know, anyone who's watching this and really wanted to take action, then definitely send through a message. We reply to all of our DMs.
Fantastic. Thank you, Diego. Guys, confidence isn't about fake lines or tricks. It's about becoming the man that you were meant to be. Until next time, keep growing, my bro.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Yo! It's Otman again. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to never miss a valuable episode.